This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resisting growing calls to resign after a blistering report from the state attorney general detailing cases of sexual harassment claims against him. And imagine waking up one morning without power everywhere. It could happen. And the threat is coming from an unexpected source within the electric grid itself. He's an Emmy Award-winning television host who can actually sing opera, but you most likely know him from Dirty Jobs. Mike Rowe is here to tell us about his exciting new mission. And American Sydney McLaughlin winning the gold medal in the women's 400-meter hurdles at the Tokyo Olympics. We'll tell you about her victory and her strong Christian faith. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour in New York, where the governor, Andrew Cuomo, is under growing pressure to resign after the release of a blistering sexual harassment report against him. But the governor is still denying any wrongdoing. Charlene Aaron is on the story.
President Biden and several high-profile Democrats say New York Governor Andrew Cuomo should step down after an investigation supported allegations of sexual harassment against Cuomo.
The independent investigation has concluded that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women and in doing so violated federal and state law.
Members of Cuomo's own party, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and President Biden, say it's time for him to go.
I think he should resign.
Appalled at the findings of the independent investigation, the governors of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Rhode Island released a joint statement calling on the governor to resign. Others in New York also speaking out, calling for Cuomo's ouster.
There is no more time to wait. There is no more time to waste. This man does not deserve to hold the highest office in New York State. He broke the law.
Investigators say evidence collected during the months-long probe verifies claims of harassment from not only members of Cuomo's own staff, but also other employees, including a state trooper and members of the public.
In an elevator, while standing behind the trooper, he ran his finger from her neck down her spine and said, "Hey, you." Another time, she was standing holding the door open for the governor. As he passed, he took his open hand and ran it across her stomach from her belly button to the hip where she keeps her gun. She told us that she felt completely violated.
The two lead investigators detailed an environment of intimidation and bullying.
It was a culture where you could not say no to the governor. And if you upset him or his senior staff, you would be written off, cast aside, or worse.
According to the 165-page report, the governor and his senior team also took actions to retaliate against at least one accuser. Cuomo spoke out against the investigation and its findings Tuesday afternoon.
I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. I am 63 years old. I've lived my entire adult life in public view. That is just not who I am, and that's not who I have ever been.
Cuomo says his attorney has responded to each individual allegation and is making that document public. The sexual harassment report doesn't carry any criminal charges, but Governor Cuomo could face impeachment. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Turning now to Washington, where the Senate is trying to move ahead slowly on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, as nearly 300 amendments have to be added. Still, the final vote on the 2,700-page bill may come as soon as this weekend. Eric Phillips brings us the story.
By all accounts, it was a long, painstaking weekend for the group of bipartisan senators working on this legislation. But in the end, the group emerged with a 2,700-page document that they believe will survive the whole Senate's scrutiny.
The bipartisan infrastructure bill is designed to bring our infrastructure up to date for a new century. And that is a significant achievement.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer introduced the bill to the floor late Sunday night, a move receiving rare praise from members of both parties.
We will continue to once again demonstrate to our country and to the world that we can indeed do our jobs, that we can legislate, that we can work together.
No new taxes, core infrastructure only, and it's great for the American people.
The bill's price tag, $1.1 trillion, with $550 billion in new spending, $110 billion earmarked for roads and bridges, $39 billion for public transportation, and $65 billion to expand broadband internet. When it comes to the Senate body backing the bill, there's a sense of optimism.
And you think it will pass?
I do. Oh, absolutely. I do. And you see Chuck Schumer and you see Mitch McConnell both voting for the same thing. It's unbelievable.
I believe the Senate can quickly process relevant amendments and pass this bill in a matter of days.
At the same time, some members of the GOP are insisting that this not be rushed.
Our full consideration of this bill must not be choked off by any artificial timetable that our Democratic colleagues may have penciled out for political purposes. While I salute the hard work of my colleagues who produced the base text that's now before us, their conversations can't be the Senate's last word.
But even if and when the Senate passes the infrastructure bill, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she won't introduce it until the Senate passes the Democrats' $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. That includes the climate and social pieces not included as part of the infrastructure bill. At the White House, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
The government does not have the defenses necessary to stop cyber attacks. That's the finding from a new report by the Senate Homeland Security Committee. The report also said Americans' personal information is at risk. That new study comes after major cyber attacks against the U.S. in recent months. The report criticized 8 key agencies of the federal government. Coming up, despite warnings about cyber attacks and network security, some experts argue the key to taking down the U.S. power grid could be just one piece of hardware that doesn't belong. We're going to bring you a look at a key vulnerability that's been largely ignored when we come back.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
It's the crippling attack we never saw coming, a backdoor to our electric grid. And guess who's got the key? China. So how could one piece of hardware take down our grid? And what would that look like for the United States? National security correspondent Caitlin Burke exposes the catastrophic vulnerability that's largely been ignored.
Substations like this one are in almost every city nationwide. Most house transformers, which are a huge part of getting power out to you. The larger they are, the more critical.
Transformers have been called by many people the Achilles heel of the electric grid.
Transformers take voltage sent by power plants and convert it to a level that can be distributed. Essentially, they keep electricity flowing at safe levels. While the U.S. electric grid consists of thousands of them, the high voltage carriers make up less than 3%. Even so, they're responsible for transporting 60 to 70% of our electricity.
These are 500-ton, 20 feet tall, multi-million-dollar machines.
They're also custom-made in China. And experts like Joe Weiss say while the U.S. is busy securing its networks, China has the ability and opportunity to sabotage the equipment we rely on them to manufacture, essentially creating a backdoor into our electric grid.
What they have is the ability today, they have their finger on that trigger today, that they can take over that transformer and everything that transformer supplies coming in or going out. This is a very big deal.
Weiss, an engineer and independent consultant, says this is no hypothetical warning. The U.S. has already discovered backdoor electronics in a Chinese-made transformer. It was that discovery that led then-President Trump to sign an executive order in May of 2020 banning the acquisition, importation, transfer, or installation of any bulk power systems from foreign adversaries. The discovery also led to something that's never happened before.
The next large transformer from China that arrived at the Port of Houston was intercepted by the U.S. Department of Energy and taken to the Sandia National Laboratory. Remember, this is a 500-ton, multi-million-dollar machine. So there was a utility missing.
Llewellyn King is a journalist who's been covering the energy field for decades. When he approached the Department of Energy about the missing transformer, he was met with a veil of silence.
No comment is, to me, very much a comment. It says there's smoke and there must be fire.
So not only do our domestic utilities not know what's being found, our closest allies, who also have Chinese-made transformers, do not know what has been found.
There are more than 200 of these large Chinese transformers in our electric grid today. One accounts for 10% of the power going to New York City. Another supplies 18 to 20% of the power going to Las Vegas. And yet, the U.S. is focused on our cyber networks, something China has already proven it can bypass.
Instead of trying to hack all of these networks and everything else to try to get in, all they did was put in some hardware that will allow them to send signals. So instead of sending a voltage signal that's coming from a voltage sensor in that transformer, they can send a signal from Beijing into that piece of equipment.
In November of 2020, an Arctic blast froze 40% of the Texas electric grid. Millions of homes and businesses were left without power. The outages lasted only days, and yet more than 100 people died. Back in 2012, then Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta warned a room full of business leaders about the scope of a true attack on the U.S. grid.
The collective result of these kinds of attacks could be a cyber Pearl Harbor, an attack that would cause physical destruction and the loss of life, an attack that would paralyze and shock the nation and create a new profound sense of vulnerability.
Weiss says the question is not if this kind of attack will happen, but rather, will we even know it was a cyber attack?
What a sophisticated attacker will do, and Russia and China, even Iran and North Korean outfit in this. They will make a cyber attack look like an equipment malfunction.
He points to Stuxnet, the U.S. cyber attack that took out a fifth of Iran's nuclear centrifuges.
For a year, an entire year, the centrifuges were being destroyed. The people inside could hear those centrifuges screaming. They never even thought that cyber was the problem. They simply viewed it as a systemic design flaw.
Experts like Weiss stress that our critical infrastructure is made up of engineering equipment, and it will take a partnership between engineers and cybersecurity defenders to truly protect it.
Our workforce is not trained to address this. The people that understand the equipment have no training in cybersecurity. The people who understand cybersecurity are not trained to understand how an electric grid or a pipeline or anything else works.
This backdoor threat from our adversaries applies to all of our critical infrastructure, not just the grid.
Much of that same equipment is used in all other industries. So what's a weak spot for the electric industry is just as much a weak spot for every other industry.
The parts that make up this critical infrastructure are also old, and as we've seen in Texas, susceptible to extreme weather events. So whether it's malicious or unintentional, if these systems go down, it will be months, if not years, before we get them back, making us truly vulnerable. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Still ahead, he's an Emmy Award-winning television host who can also sing opera, but you likely know Mike Rowe from his series Dirty Jobs. He's here for another exciting mission. He's sharing it with us coming up next.
To have sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
We have a bright spot in the world of entertainment to share this hour. You may know Mike Rowe from his series Dirty Jobs, but he is now on another exciting mission with a new show. It's called Somebody's Gotta Do It. He's here with us for a preview.
I'm Mike Rowe, and I'm on a mission to find somebody on a mission. Somebody who's got a passion.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like what you do?
25.
There we go.
Somebody who's got a calling.
Pretty excited.
On a mission to find someone on a mission. Somebody's got to do it. Tell me about this project. How did you give birth to it, if you will?
It kind of gave birth to itself. These are people who wake up kind of agitated because the world's not quite the way they think it could be. Some are on a quest to build a better mousetrap. Some are entrepreneurs some are bloody do-gooders. It's basically a look at the people you wish you had for neighbors, and just an attempt to shine the light on people who I think have, to some degree, figured out this weird balance of happiness in this strange time that we find ourselves living in.
Absolutely. What has the opportunity to spend time with these people, what's that done to you?
I'm still trying to calculate it. It's hard to articulate, but it's kind of like, you know, if you spend all day looking at bad news and going through your news feed and looking at people who have unfriended you, you know, you'll start to feel bad. And if you spend that same amount of time with people who are truly on a mission, either to make the world a better place or their community a better place, or just to scratch what itches, you know, people who are engaged. That's the word. Authentic people who are genuinely engaged in a pursuit. Being in the company of those people forces you to take stock of your own drama. It was all just a big reminder that when you're fundamentally grateful, it's very, very difficult to feel anxious or angry or bitter or resentful.
The series is now streaming on PureFlix. If you will, take us inside one of the episodes. Which one comes to mind first?
You know, that's a great question. I think the segment that sold the series was, there's this thing they do in Laguna Beach every year called Pageant of the Masters. And most Americans have never heard of it. It's basically a live stage show with a big orchestra and hundreds of volunteers. And what these volunteers do is bring to life famous works of art on stage. Like you would take a painting, for instance, like The Last Supper, Da Vinci's Last Supper, and real humans, right, create that same pose, and the lighting is perfect, and the costumes are identical, and the faces and the makeup and everything looks so much like Da Vinci's original painting, they'll take your breath away. Why do these people do this? Because they love it.
The guy that's easy to make friends with is the man who plays Jesus Christ.
Sure. If you can't be friends with Jesus. And to see hundreds of people gathered and tears streaming down their face, and to see these volunteers having such a great time doing such a seemingly odd thing, again, it's very gratifying.
I think that begs the question, Mike Rowe, why do you do what you do?
My job, if I actually have one, is just to tap the country on the shoulder every so often and say, what about him? What about her? Get a load of them. Our species is not quite as rotten as we've been told we are by the headlines and the news over these last 5 or 6 years. My shows are an attempt to remind people of that.
A little bit better. Somebody who's got to do it.
Somebody's Got to Do It is streaming now on the PureFlix platform. And for more uplifting entertainment stories like his story, be sure to catch Studio 5 this evening on the CBN News Channel. Tonight, we're catching up with worship leader Elias Dummer, and we're sharing Lin-Manuel Miranda's latest musical creation. It's called Vivo. You can catch Studio 5 this evening at 8:30 Eastern. You can find it on the CBN News Channel or the CBN News app. Coming up, a gold medal for American Sydney McLaughlin at the Tokyo Olympics in the women's 400-meter hurdles, breaking her own record. We're going to hear about her triumph and her strong Christian faith when we come back. Stay with us.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family, and collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app, a great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to QUICKSTART.news and subscribe today.
U.S. Olympian Sydney McLaughlin won the gold in the women's 400 meters in the Tokyo Olympics Tuesday, breaking her own world record with a blistering time of 51.46 seconds. Before the race, she quoted the Bible verse about how iron sharpens iron, referring to her American teammate Dalilah Muhammad, who finished a close second. Muhammad was the defending Olympic champion. McLaughlin credited her strong Christian faith for helping her to cut through the pressure to focus on the race. In a post on Instagram in May, McLaughlin wrote, "Especially in a world full of inconsistency, it's such a breath of fresh air to find true stability in Jesus. The peace of knowing I will always have a friend, always have his support, and always have his love makes even the loneliest of moments feel full." And she quoted Isaiah 41:10. "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." You can find out more about McLaughlin's victory and her faith at cbnnews.com. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is love. We've said it before, but it bears repeating. There is no greater love than the love of God. It is unconditional, unmerited, and unchanging. Walk in it, and it will undo anything you think is keeping you from living the life He's called you to live. With that word, make this a wonderful Wednesday. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel or online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us. The address is right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Again, make this a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.